Welcome to the Better Two podcast. I'm your host, DM Needham, or Donna, as most of you know me. Today's guest is John Michael Ferrari. And Mr. Ferrari is a gospel singer that also does some yacht rock, that also does some country. And we explore his career because he started out playing in rock bands and then one day decided that he could do his own thing and that would be his calling. And that is where he's had his biggest success. So we discussed that. So tune in. Hi, John. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well here at the ranch. We're working at the ranch, and Pepper says, "Time to come in."
Ah, so you're
Here I
out in
am.
Nevada right now, correct?
A little place called Pahrump, Nevada, right outside Las Vegas. You ever been there?
No, sir, I have not.
Never heard of it?
No, sir.
It's really small. A lot of people haven't heard of it. It's just a nice little town. I don't know, about 50,000 people, and we have a ranch there. We like it here.
Good. Is that where you do a lot of your writing for music and everything there, or
No, I do a lot of the writing here. In fact, I was just in the studio. Excuse me. I was just in the studio doing some recording, and I do all the writing because it's quiet. There's a lot of silence out here. When you're living in silence, you can hear all the creativity inside of you, and so it's been a really good place. And then we go to Tennessee, Nashville, many times a year. We're going next week to do some more recording, and then we come back here again.
and are you going to be playing any live dates anytime soon for the holidays?
I think we're having a party, Christmas party. Have a lot of our friends coming over singing Christmas songs. And in fact, we have a rehearsal today. We're all getting together. But as far as any other dates, I think we're performing in Nashville one time this trip,
December 20th
December 20th
at the Millennium Maxwell.
at the Millennium Maxwell.
Okay. So you've gotten a lot of awards for your music. I mean, you have the Gospel Songwriter of the Year for 50 plus for Bring Me Home, plus Best New Gospel Song, plus you've gotten Best New Country for your song I Keep Rolling On. How does it feel to be getting these accolades as an older person?
Well, of course, I wanted all the success that I have today. I wanted it when I was 19. You know,
Of course.
and and as I got older, I thought, well, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And then it happened. And as you get older, because you make a lot of mistakes, and you get wise after a while, and you kind of learn the maneuvers and how to create success. Because sometimes it's by accident, but by accident you don't hold on to it. But we're very fortunate. We know our craft. I do the writing. Pepper does a lot of the business, all the business, and the promotion and everything. So we work well together. And it's fun because we thought we would come to Pahrump from LA and retire. And living in silence, like I said earlier, you can hear all that creativity inside of you, which when we were living in LA, you couldn't do that. And we just followed our instincts. We went to Nashville, started recording, and before we knew it, our songs were on the charts.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So, was there a major culture shock when you decided to move?
We were living in LA. We were born there, and we were kind of in the music and movie industry, and it was a fun life. It was exciting. And after Pepper's father passed away, she said, we don't need to be here anymore. And I said, well, where do you want to go? She said, anywhere but Pahrump, Nevada. And I said, okay. So we looked everywhere, and we were looking for a particular piece of property. And then one day she came in, she says, I think I found the perfect property. And I go, where's it at? She goes, Pahrump, Nevada.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
kind of
we
said I
came,
was, go ahead.
so we came and looked at it, and we said, okay. But you were going to say what?
Sometimes that works out that way because I left Chicago, went back home to New Orleans, and I swore I would never come back here. And I've been here 30 years. So, sometimes we will sit there and protest and say, thou protest too much because that's exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, and it was for us. Yeah, very nice to be out here. And it was a small community. People know us. And we go to the store. We broke down one time in our car, and several people stop by. It's the kind of town where if you break down, people are going to stop by and say you need help,
Right.
which is really nice, you know.
But you're definitely not going to get out in LA.
No, you don't get that.
Mm-mm.
People will get out of their car and scream at you like, "Get out of the way!"
So when did you decide that you were going to be a singer? I mean, you talked about that you wanted the success young when you were younger, but I've talked to other artists and they that are older and they've said, they most likely could not have handled the success if they had it when they were younger, that it would have derailed their whole life.
I think because there's so many opportunities for you when you're successful, and sometimes you misuse those opportunities out of ego or whatever. And that's what gets you in trouble. It's easy to get involved in drinking and drugs and partying. When you're older, you've already passed all that, and you live more of a quieter life, and you appreciate what you have. And we're settled down at 7 o'clock at night, ready to stay in. We don't want to go out. When you're young, you want to go out and party and do all those crazy things. But it's nice. I'm glad I have the career, but I've always been successful as a musician, as an artist, but I was doing something different. I was playing in bands and doing rock and roll and show tunes and all kinds of things, country songs. But when I started writing and performing my own songs, it's a whole different thing, because you get recognized for not only singing and performing, but your songs, and no matter how well you sing, if you're doing somebody else's song, you're still doing somebody else's song. But once you start doing your own song, people start looking at you as an individual artist, and it's completely different. And it's a lot easier to have success that way as an independent artist.
Well, you're also in more control, and now with the internet and streaming services, you can reach a much bigger audience than before.
Yeah, it's we have control over our own career. We can put whatever we want on the album, whatever songs we want, whatever we on our first one we put a goat. Our second one we put a goat on the album. Was it the second one? Okay. And if you were with a major studio, they never let you do that. And then that happened because one day she was working in the office on the ranch, and she called me in. She said, "We need a photo for the album." And I was working and everything. I said, "I don't want to get cleaned up. Use some other photo." She said, "Well, I could use a goat." I go, "Perfect. Use the goat."
There you go.
The goat looks smiling, it's like, and that's how we got the goat,
Be the smile on your
Be the Smile on Your Face album. Because if you look at the album, it looks like the goat is smiling at you. And that's one of our goats. Was it Ozzy? Ozzy or a goat, yeah.
And he's immortalized now.
Yes, yeah.
I mean that's the good thing about technology, how it has grown. There are some disadvantages, but overall, yeah, you get to pick what your album cover looks like. You get to put on there the songs you want. You don't have to worry about somebody in the record company going, "Hey, I don't hear a single. You better start over. I don't hear this."
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to somebody who had a career. Her career was going on, it was going up. She was nominated for 2 Grammys. Everything was going well. She was riding in the back of limos, and then the record company got bought. And she got switched to a different part of the label that wasn't what she was doing. And so they never got her what she was doing. And they were like, "Well, we don't hear a song. We don't hear this." So it's like now you have the freedom to do exactly what you want to do.
Well, when we first went to Nashville, we were shopping our songs like everybody else does. You're a songwriter and you shop your songs to other artists. And one of the publishers said, "Don't shop your songs, do it yourself." He said to us, "You have really good songs, but none of these songs are the songs that they would pick up and cover because it doesn't fit their genre of what they do. But you, as an independent artist, you create your own little, mold for yourself in the industry." And that was the best advice. So we went out and promoted what we do as a singer-songwriter and performer, and it happened for us. And had we still tried to shop our songs to somebody else, we'd still be there shopping it. But, and all the songs have hit the charts, almost all of our songs. And so it's been really nice that way.
So, what age did you decide that, hey, I'm going to be a musician?
I was young. I think I was 8, 9 years old, and that's when Elvis was popular. Ricky Nelson was popular, um, and I was also a fan of Al Jolson because I remember as a little kid, I saw the Al Jolson story, and he was up there dancing and singing, and that's cool. He was the Elvis of his time, um, and I knew back then, so this is what I wanted to do. But I remember sitting in class, sixth grade, and there was a picture of a jet plane on the board. And I thought it'd be interesting to be a jet pilot. I think I'd like to be a jet pilot. So that was my other alternative, jet pilot or singer, jet pilot or singer. So I turned out to be a
One, you
singer.
have to have certain requirements, good vision and, certain other things to be. The other one, well, it just takes,
Well, I didn't know what qualifications you
right,
need. All I saw was a jet on the plane, on
right.
the board at school. And I thought, oh, I don't know. It just,
Hmm.
fly a jet plane,
Hmm.
Didn't know how to
No,
fly one.
no, I know. I mean, it's just one of those things when sometimes as kids we pick something that we don't even think about how we have to unpack and what we have to learn to become it. Sometimes we just know that this is what we're going to do and we do it. So, we have the wild fantasy of what we might want to do, but
Yeah.
will we actually get to do it?
It's like being a fireman. Kids want to be firemen usually, they want to be firemen, and there's a lot that goes into that. But being an artist, there's a lot that goes into it. A lot of training, a lot of discipline, and you go to school and you learn music. It takes years. It takes years
Mhm.
to your craft. Even after you graduate from college with a music degree, it takes about 10 more years to really get stationed as a really good artist, singer or musician.
And now you have to be able to market yourself a lot and be on social media to build that following because that's what the labels are looking for. They're looking for you to come to them with already an audience behind you.
And Pepper does all that. She talks to people all over the world. She's promoting. She reaches out. She sets up tours. I think we're going to the Netherlands or something like that
Nice.
next July. So she does all that stuff. She is the record company, and not only does she handle what I do, but we have another artist, Sophie Love. She's been handling her, and then we have another artist.
We'll see that.
Was it
Peggy Sue Fletcher,
Peggy Sue Fletcher and
Pearl Seaback.
Pearl Seaback with a new Christmas song? So we're becoming our own little record label. Didn't mean to, but we take these talented people and we kind of give them direction. And before they know it, they start having success because we know the path, kind of. So we just bring other people and say, well, this is the path we follow. Just listen to us. And we help them out with the songs and it kind of works for them too. So that's the hardest thing is finding a mentor, finding somebody in your business that is doing what you want to do. And if they will take you on, they can train you and take you through the obstacles that you need to go through, and it'll save you years,
True.
years of time. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing is when you were talking about school, yes, school will teach you the fundamentals of music and it will teach you can learn about the music business at Berkeley, but there's the real world education that you also need to be able to write songs and know how to work the system per se so you don't fall into the trappings of the system.
And the more successful you get, the more responsibilities that's put upon you, because you have to meet obligations. And many times, a lot of people, young people, aren't that responsible. They just want to put their songs out there and they want to be their own individual. And they think by being anti-establishment and all these other things is being an individual. And it's not that at all because it's hard to work with people like that. People depend on you. You're successful. You have to keep those dates. You have to keep all those appointments that it's like this, doing interviews and things like that. There's a time and place. You have to be there and do
Mhm.
all these things. And Pepper sets all these things up, and I don't even know most of the times what we're doing until the time comes. Oh, by the way, you're doing this, and you're performing here, and you're doing that. And we did a tour last year, and I was sick most of the time, but I met all the obligations. You know, I had to be there. People were counting on me, but we did it. You know, we got through it, and nobody knew that I was that sick. We came home and I had to go to the hospital. You know?
Wow.
It was quite a thing, but we got through it. But the more success, the more that you have, the more people depend on you, the more responsibility you have.
Well, and I think that's the other thing that people don't realize too is, okay, so we'll use Taylor Swift for an example. So, yeah, Taylor Swift is making tons of money. Yes, yes, yes. But she also has this whole backing people that she has to support. She has all the backing musicians. She has all the tour production people. She has the marketing people. She has her lawyers. She has her accountants. And nobody really thinks about that. It's the same thing with the movie industry. An actor, oh, well, they made $10 million for that picture. Okay, but how much did they actually see before taxes? We're not even talking taxes. How much did they actually make because they have all these other people that create this? And that's the one thing I think in the entertainment industry, whether it's books, music, movies, we don't look at all that goes into it. We just look at the final product and go, I want more. I need more. And we don't look at what exactly is going in there. We don't look at all the pieces, all the time you spend writing a song, all the time you spend recording it, and all the people that make things come together.
Yeah, and you watch Taylor Swift and her routines, and she plays for 3 hours and 20 minutes or something like that, which is unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
And then they make a big deal like what they think she's lip singing. She might, but when you're performing night after night and doing these big concerts, sometimes your voice isn't there. And I did a performance not too long ago where I didn't have a voice. And I thought about, I could just get up there and lip sync and do the performance. As it turned out, I didn't have to perform that night. The promoter said, it's all right, you don't have to do it. We're running behind anyways. And I said, okay, so that's good. But it's very stressful. You're trying to meet all your obligations. She meets all her obligations. She gets rewarded for it. She's really good.
And that's, like I said, that's the thing. Nobody really looks at everything. While she's got that one piece, there's all these other pieces that are moving to make that show happen. That make sure that
with her dancers, all that rehearsing and everything. There's a lot that goes into it.
Mm-hmm.
So much.
And I mean, even for a person like you still have lighting cues. You have, you still have to do a sound check, and nobody thinks about those things. They just look at the final performance.
When we do a show, I mean, we rehearse months before we get on stage, so we know what the show's going to be, what we're going to do, and we try to rehearse it with the same energy, so we get the feeling of what it's going to be like to be on stage. So by the time we get on stage, we've rehearsed it over and over again, and it becomes just part of our nature. It just becomes natural. Don't have to think about it. And then you have to put up, yeah.
No, go ahead.
And then you get to the point where after you rehearsed it, then you have a sore throat. You think, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can get through this.
So do you take time off, like a couple of weeks off between rehearsals and touring, or do you just go from rehearsals to touring?
No, we schedule it. Like I know at a certain time that I'm going to be doing a lot more writing than other times because I can't multitask. I'm not good at that. But give me a project and I will put all my energy into that. And that's what I do. And then when that project's over, I can close it and fold it up, put it away, and then I can work on the next one. Even if I have to do that with different projects during the day, I have to feel like I have to complete it, finish it, and put it away and think, okay, I'll have to come back to that. But now I have to work on this other thing. I'm going to forget about that for the time being. Like people say, Pepper can multitask. She can do several things at a time. I can't. I kind of could do it, but I do my best work by just letting me go into my room, write my song, work in the studio, just do that, and then we can break for lunch.
And And that's your process. I mean, my husband, if I was sitting there looking at my phone while we were watching a movie, he would like, "You're not watching the movie. You can't tell me what's going on." I'm like, "You want to make a bet?" And I would tell him, and he would be like, how do you do that?" And I'm like, "I just do." And I think that's because I've always been able to multitask. That's just, and maybe it's a girl thing. I don't know. Guys may have a little harder time focusing sometimes. I'm not knocking guys, and I'm not saying that guys
No, but
can't do it, but I've known a few men that are just like, give me one thing and I can't, that's all I can do.
that's what we
So,
do. Give us one thing. Do the dishes. Okay. Take out the garbage. Oh, okay. Let me do this.
but where do you, so you're going to be writing and you're going to be recording again. When do you hope to release another project?
Right.
This spring we'll have new songs coming out. And also, Pepper released some songs a few years back, and I didn't know she was going to do it. And she said, "Oh, we released this new album." And what new album? She says it's called My Old Songs or My Early Life. They were all demos. They
Oh,
were just demos that I recorded in the studio. Uh, and it was interesting because people could hear them, on Spotify and all these different places. We never really promoted them, but we're recording some of them in the studio for the first time as an actual uh, radio quality. Because people don't realize, when you record, there's a thing called radio quality and production. And if you don't meet those standards, many of the stations won't play your music. So they look for certain things: the format, structure of the song, the length of the song, and the quality of the song. I mean, if it sounds like an amateur song, even if it's semi-professional, it's not going to get the radio play that you want.
right.
There are certain beautiful songs that they recorded that you never hear on the radio, but you hear it on their albums because they didn't really, in the early part of their career, they didn't reach that level of professionalism. But
Right.
but you can play it on their albums. So we're re-recording some of the songs at radio quality, so they can get those out there.
And a lot of bands have done that. They've re-released demos that way. It's like a B-side thing or a demo thing, because that way
Yeah.
they can, their fans, their true fans that want more, can tide them over for a bit.
And people like to hear the demos. Like, what does it sound like? Because people ask me, what did it sound like before you went into the studio? And I can play them the demo, and they go, "Oh, that sounds good. Why isn't that on the radio?" So, well, there is a difference, even though maybe the amateur couldn't hear the difference, but the A&R people and the professional people, they definitely can hear the difference. Then that's who you have to convince. When you're promoting your music, other stations and radio promoters, they can hear it. They go, "Oh yeah, that's good quality."
But radio is a lot different than, I mean, I worked in radio. And when I first started in radio, we got to pick everything we played. Everything was, we got to, granted, we had to stick to format, but we got to pick the songs we played. We had
Oh,
certain songs that we had to play. And then 2 years later, when I was in radio, when I went to a different station, everything was computerized. I didn't have the luxury. If you called in and wanted a song, I'm sorry, I can't play that for
oh,
you. Especially most of the time it was a big hit, so it was on rotation within the next 2 hours. So it was just like, I'll get to it, but you couldn't play it. And that's where radio, I think, lost some of its magic, is because once you have a computer system, basically you're taking it away from the people that are listening, and you're taking it away from the actual DJ. So yeah, radio's changed a lot, and I don't think all stations have the computer set up, but I'm sure there's a good bit of them that do.
well, we have country. What is it? Country. What's the country station out here?
Several.
Yeah, and they have a format of what songs they play, and they'll play my songs. But if I'm not on their rotation, you won't hear my song.
Right.
It gets on rotation once in a while, and they play our songs. But yeah, you can't just call up and say, "Would you play John Ferrari song?" And it's not on a rotation.
Yeah, I mean that was I enjoyed when I got in radio initially, because it was that you could, if you wanted a song, I could give that to you. But yeah, after a certain point, nope, we can't do that anymore. And
Well, they used to have call-ins, like call in and make your request. but they would screen the calls, and they would, if the song was on rotation, that's the call that they would play, the recorded call.
Mhm.
And here's the request, but they already knew that they had the song queued. And
Right.
here's the request, you know.
So, what do you hope to bring forth with your next record? Is it going to be more gospel? Is it going to be more yacht rock? What are you aiming for with the next record?
Well, you never know what it's going to turn out. I was working on a song. We actually went into the studio a couple of months ago and recorded one of the songs. And I got home and I thought, no, it didn't feel right. It just didn't. I didn't like. Most of the time we would come out with, this is great, this is perfect. But we got back home and I thought, no, it doesn't have that feel. So I went back into our studio and started re-recording and mixing and doing things. Then I thought I finally got it. And then last night when I was driving to the gym, I heard a song on the radio and I thought, I like what they're doing, their arrangement, the music arrangement. I think I could rearrange some of mine. So I came back from the gym last night and I went to the studio and I started to work on a different arrangement. And today I was working on it. I think I got what I want. So we're going to re-record it when we go back this next time. And get more of what we want. You know, sometimes it costs you money. I mean, you make mistakes, and we're all going to make mistakes. And I don't know if it's really a mistake, but it's just not what I wanted in the song. But we have to do it. I just can't let it go and say, okay, well, I'll just live with it. No, we had to spend the money. And we told the studio, said, we didn't get what we wanted last time. We want to re-record, have another session. And their response was, well, you know, you do a lot of recording with us. We have to charge you for the musicians, but we're going to give you the studio time for free.
Nice.
You know, if you weren't happy with, you know, and it had nothing to do with them. It was just their kindness because we spent so much time there, and it was just their way of giving back to us, you know, like, and it's not a lot of money, but it's something. It's just, and it's nice that they did that. You know?
It is. It's very nice. Do you, now you mentioned that you have musicians that in the studio. So are you musicians separate for your touring band versus the studio?
Yes, musicians, usually studio musicians are different musicians. They're extraordinary. They're self-producing. They come up with parts, like sometimes I'll go in there with a specific thing that I want them to play. And then there's an area in the song and say, well, I'm open to any suggestions. And they will come in there and self-produce. They'll come up with things like I wouldn't have thought of. And it's just amazing, you know, to work with musicians like that. And they're well trained. They've been doing this for a long time. Now, touring musicians can be studio musicians, but they're good at what they do because they can replicate exactly what was on the radio and on your recordings and play it live. And sometimes it's not exactly the same because when you play live, you have more of a punch, more of a drive to your songs, you know, that wasn't on the record, but you need that as a live performance. It's got to be a little bit more powerful, a little bit more oomph behind the song. So they can be the same musicians, but most of the time, studio musicians want to stay home. They work all day long. They can make a whole lot more money doing studio work than going on tour. The tour, it's rough life. You know, you're as a musician, you don't get paid a lot.
No. How many dates do you plan on doing the next tour?
Well, this time in Nashville, we're just doing one date with some friends. It was a complimentary thing. The place wanted to book me and wanted me to come in there. I didn't plan on it, but
You have a tour in March.
yeah, but I think she's setting up a tour in March, and what part of it's going to be going to
Knoxville,
Nashville, Pigeon Forge.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's just a few dates because I know you had mentioned possibly going on the tour in the Netherlands. So that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
That's in September.
September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he'll be in Europe in
All in Europe and stuff like that.
July.
So she fixes all that up.
Yeah.
So I know exactly where or when.
You just show up.
But people want to find out, they go to johnmichaelferrari.com, and there's our touring schedule of the coming year, where we're going to be, what we're going to do. And yeah, they can follow us that way.
Okay. So, out of all the music you've created in your career, is this the biggest part that is truly you now, as opposed to, say, 10 years ago? I mean, are you writing more from your heart and soul because now you have more of a story to tell, or is things just, is it just the culmination that you just keep writing because you feel creative?
Um, you know, my training came from listening to all the music and learning how to play the music. Growing up, the 50s and 60s and 70s music, playing in the bands, learning how to play those songs gave me an insight on how to write songs. Because, every hit song that you would sing, there's a structure, there's a format to that. And that's where my training came from. So when I started writing songs, I just knew how to format and structure songs. I knew what the chorus needed, and where the title needed to be, and how I can change it. So it was easy for me to be creative within that format structure. So here's the structure. I will just write a song in that structure. And most of the time, there's only a few structures, 4 or 5 structures, that most singer-songwriters use all the time for radio, commercial radio. Now, if you're playing jazz and things, it's entirely different, because you have a different structure. Some don't even have a structure, kind of. But for commercial radio, there's a permanent structure that they want you to hear.
2 or 3 structures.
Yeah. But I don't know, what was the rest of the question?
It was just how more, is it more authentic now, your music? Is it more personal now than before?
I think it was always personal, but I didn't know that I was really that good of a songwriter. And Pepper kept telling me, "No, you have really good songs and they're good lyrics." And I didn't know that was available to me as an artist playing in rock and roll bands and things. I didn't know how to get into that part of the industry. How do I get in as a singer-songwriter? And so Pepper kind of opened that door when she said, "Just write your songs and we'll go to Nashville." So that's when I started learning about the industry. I knew the songwriting. I just didn't have the confidence that was available to me. I thought it was like, it's available to everybody else, but I'm not like them. And it turns out I'm more like them than I thought. But it's all personal. I'll write a song from just something that happens. I saw a girl at Trader Joe's one time. I was marketing there, and I was in the produce section, and we were picking up fruit and trying to find out. And the guy next to me doing the same thing. And we saw this young lady on the other side of the aisle, beautiful young girl. And she was picking up fruit and tomatoes and things. And she looked up at us and gave us a smile, beautiful smile, and a nod. And she put her fruit in the basket and rolled down the aisle. And the guy next to me said, "I'd like to be the smile on her face." And I said, "Yeah, she's one heck of a girl." And I went home that day and I wrote 2 songs, "Be the Smile on Your Face" and "One Heck of a Girl."
Nice.
And both of them hit the chart.
Nice. So it's Kismet.
So, yeah, I'm motivated by all kinds of things, little incidents or, tragic incidents, maybe. Now, I don't write too much about tragedy. It's always love songs and upbeat songs.
Well, and that's where you're most comfortable writing, and that makes sense. I mean, if that's where your niche is, then that's what people are not going to want to hear songs that are depressing if they're expecting you to write love songs and songs that are positive.
Yeah, and when I listen to the radio, I listen to old Motown songs, and I love those. You can hear them 1,000 times. You just want to hear them over and over again. And I thought, that's the genre that I want to write. I don't want to write depressing, although I've written a couple of kind of sad songs. But most part, my genre is love and happy songs.
So, if there's anything you can do coming up in the future, what would you like to do? I mean, do you want to play the Opry? Do you want to play the Bluebird?
Well, we were at the Opry. We were nominated for some award, and I thought I would win. So I was all prepared to get on the stage. We were waiting there. Whoever, when they announced the winner, you get to go on stage and just not perform, but you got to go on Opry stage and take acceptance speech, do acceptance speech. But we were ready. We were sitting right there, ready to go on when somebody else won, which was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Almost got there, almost, but almost got there. And that was unexpected. I didn't even know I was nominated for
Wow.
some of the awards at the Opry. And so in a couple of months earlier, I was visualizing in my head as I was working out that I would be at the Opry winning an award. And I thought, I don't know how or how that would ever come about. I said, I won't worry about it. Just visualize it in your mind. And when that happened and I got nominated for an award, I thought, isn't that amazing that I visualized that? And out of nowhere, they nominated me for an award. And we went there, we got to go there and everything, which was nice. But visualization really helps.
Oh yeah, yeah. Creative visualization is a wonderful thing for manifesting. It really,
Yeah.
you can create and draw things to you.
And all the things that I've been visualizing have come to pass. Most everything that we've been working on, the trick is to visualize it and don't question it.
Right.
If you start questioning it, like, yeah, but how's this going to happen? You try to figure out how it's going to come about, how it's going to manifest itself. The thing is, just visualize it. Don't worry about how it's going to manifest itself. Because when you start putting your idea of how you think it's going to be, you're kind of canceling out the whole visual of what you want.
Right. And that's the thing, we get caught up in the details sometimes that kind of
Yeah.
defeats the whole manifestation because you're so worried about all the pieces fitting together.
Yeah, because sometimes you can't figure it out, but the universe has a way of doing it for you
Mm-hmm.
if you let it happen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So our success has come a lot from just being open, positive, and don't worry about how it's going to happen. Just work at it and enjoy the process.
Trust it. You got to.
The
So,
first time we got on the charts, we didn't have any idea. When our first song hit the charts, we were like 199 or something on the chart. We were so excited. And just to be on a chart,
mm-hmm.
we were like up and down. Look at it. Even if we were at the bottom, it didn't go anywhere else. I'm at the bottom. Taylor Swift was at the top, and Ed Sheeran was at the top. All these, Adele was at the top. And we thought, at least my name is on the same list that they're on.
Right.
And then funny, each week we started going up, and then it started going up again. And then pretty soon we were under the 100. Oh my gosh, now we're down to the 50. And then we're under the top 40. And then it went all the way to number 2.
Nice.
And it's like, who could have thought, who could have imagined that something like this could happen? And the universe made that happen because here's the trick, the funny thing is that this is when COVID hit, and all the major stars pulled back their music. All the record companies weren't releasing any more music. Tours were canceled. There was a void in the music industry. And now they were we had a radio promoter. He says they're looking for artists that they can promote, new artists. And he submitted our songs, and that's how we started to get on the charts, because there was a void in the industry, and our songs were good enough where people heard it, and they started promoting us all the way up. Now, had COVID not happened, we probably wouldn't have had that opportunity. But the universe just kind of worked out that way. And once we got recognized a little bit, my name started to get out there. It made it easier for when we released another song. They go, oh, Ferrari, yeah, he had something up there. And then we released another one. Oh, here's another one. So we started getting on the charts, and people started hearing our name, and it was been a really nice process.
So, as bad as COVID was, it was actually beneficial for you because it opened doors. And
It
you took
did.
them.
It was an opportunity for us, as it is for anything. When something happens, a tragedy or something for somewhere else, opens the door for somebody else to help or come in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we were just really fortunate that we hit at the right time. And other artists too. There were other independent artists that had that advantage as well. So we got recognition because there was a void in the industry. Nobody was doing. All the record companies didn't want to put any more money on. Why would they? You
Right.
can't tour, you can't do anything.
Right.
So for us.
Well, I thank you for coming on. And is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about?
Just we're fortunate. If people out there hear us, and they have questions, they want to contact us, they go to, johnmichaelferrari.com. There's a number. You can email Pepper. And, we're always open to helping people, asking questions, whatever knowledge we have that might help them. We're open to that. So if you're out there listening, and say you have a question like about music industry, give us a ring. If you're going to be in the Vegas area and you want to meet us, give us a call. We have people come visit us all the time. Visit our ranch. We have a beautiful ranch. We live on a nice ranch. We have chickens. We have fresh eggs every day.
Nice. Very nice. And you have goats. You have goats.
And we have goats.
Yes.
Yeah, we have cats, dogs, and peacocks.
Wow.
All kinds of turtles, tortoises, Yeah.
Wow. Well, I thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
So John's interview, we talk a lot about growing as a musician. And I think that's one of the hardest things for people to really think about is how do you grow as a musician? What do you need to do? How do you make your dream a reality? And as with some other artists this season, we've talked about the fact that you can actually do it yourself more now than you were able to before. And I think that's kind of important that you actually know that you have those opportunities for you, whether it's even in acting, you can start doing your own reels. I mean, I've seen people that do their reels and they've blown up because of it. So you have those opportunities now. And the most important thing is to take a chance with an opportunity. Make sure you're taking that risk as long as it's not going to hurt you. But I also like the fact that he talked about manifesting, how he visualized the getting the award nomination and getting that award. Granted, it changed a little bit, but that's the thing. Even when we manifest or we do creative visualization, we have to let go of that outcome. While we may see the big picture, we have to let go of the outcome, because once we start really focusing on the outcome, then we start talking ourselves out of it. And how does this work? And how does this happen? You have to let go, because sometimes, even if we want something so bad, sometimes it's not going to happen exactly the way we think. And you have to be okay with that. So just trust sometimes. Just allow yourself to trust. So his show notes, if you are interested in John Michael Ferrari's music or talking to him further, or like you said, you can go visit him. You can do so by going to his website, and those links are in the show notes. As always, I'd like to thank Rich Zai of Third Ear Audio for doing the audio production, Fast Susie for the intro and outro music, and you guys for tuning in. As always, I appreciate you guys, and whether you're listening evening, morning, noon, whenever you're listening, I really do appreciate it, and I thank you. So until next time, I'll catch you later. Bye.